Been a little bit since we talked to this guy. He has a new album out that's just phenomenal called Crazy Times. And, of course, good friend and just turned 75. How the hell did that happen? But we're going to find out right now because he's joining us live. The one and only Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. How are you, my friend?
I'm laughing my ass off already just from the intro. But he turned 75. How the hell did that happen? Now, what's that supposed to mean, Eddie? Are you saying that you didn't think I was going to make it, or are you saying that I don't seem that old? I mean, that's a double-edged sword, brother. You swung at me with there.
It is meant with the utmost respect and bewilderment that you can be 75 because I hang with you and know you and I'm proud to call you a friend, and I don't think of you as I think of you as younger than me, and I'm 58. I don't know how you do it, man.
I don't either. Come on. I wish, everybody's always, what's the secret, man? If I had some kind of a secret to that, I'd write a book about it, or I'd write at least a song about it, but no, you're going to have to listen to Father Time from now on, the new record, which is basically my autobiography in a song. And I don't know. Hey, listen, I'm happy. I'm not acting like I'm bummed out about it, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I thought at 75, I didn't think I'd make a record when I was first starting in this business. I didn't think I'd make a record after I turned 50. I didn't think I'd be playing music after 50. Now I'm sitting here going, hey, geez, I don't know. I guess I'll keep going till I can't.
Well, you can keep going as long as you want, as long as you can keep doing it as well as you can do it, and you do it as well as you ever did. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke, but I got to ask you something. 2 questions along these lines of keeping the young spirit and keeping, the demeanor like you have and the positive outlook you've always had. Do you ever get stressed? I mean, I've never seen you in all the years I've known you've been around you. Do you ever get wound up or really stressed?
Well, I don't know if I get really stressed, but I get wound up. I'm kind of hot-headed person. I'm sorry to say it. I just did my DNA. I did that show called Roots, where they go really deep in your DNA, and I found out that I'm mostly Sicilian. I'm like 38%, 42% Sicilian. Not just Italy, Sicilian. So, that's those pretty hot-headed those mobsters, you know what I mean? So I don't get stressed, though. I do, but I really get angry. But my gift is that I can get over things quick. I don't take things on and on and on and back and forth, man. I grab the rope. Somebody pisses me off, or it fucks with me, and I grab the rope for a minute and get in a big yelling match, or tell them what I think, and then once I go on to my next thing, I go, forget that, it rubs off, just goes away pretty quick. So I think that it helps as far as the stress factor goes, because stress will take you down, Eddie. I don't have to tell you that, right?
Well, look, I'm half Italian and I'm super high strung and I am always stressed and stressing on things. And yeah, it's really bad for you and I'm trying to do better with it. Do you smoke a lot of weed now?
No, I don't smoke weed at all anymore because it's not good for my throat. I found even when I was a young man, when I used to smoke weed, that I couldn't sing or tune a guitar when I was stoned. So I never ever played, on stage stoned. And I tried a few times, like in Cabo or in Maui and stuff, just sitting around the acoustic guitar and trying to sing. I can't do it stoned, so I don't do it, because anything that prevents me from being able to sing and perform at my best, I don't do. And that's including drinking too much before a show. I drink during the show, so by the end of the show, sometimes I'm a little less, but it's time going, hey, one more song, we're done, we're okay. But, coke, any of the drugs don't work for me as a singer. You can't sing on coke. I mean, coke heads, that's the first thing that'll take your voice out. The second one is cigarettes or marijuana. I'm sorry. Some guys can smoke weed and sing, but I can't. So I don't.
But I'm not talking about on stage. And I'm with you on smoke. I never smoked cigarettes in my life, and I don't smoke anything because it bothers my voice, and I make my living talking. But do you ever to unwind? Will you ever pop an edible or anything? I'm just curious about the stress factor. You'll do a little bit of your rum or one of your cocktails, and you're good.
A couple shots of tequila, or I don't like to overdo that either, because if you're really stressed and if you get drunk, a guy like me, that's when you start making mistakes. That's when I start going, I'm calling him up right now, that bottle gets you brave, and then you start saying stupid shit, and the next thing you know, you're really into it. But so no, once I start drinking, I shut the phone down, and I have a couple cocktails or something, and I feel pretty good. I don't know. I'm so grateful, Eddie. Now I'm going to get soulful for a second. At my age, I can say this stuff. I'm so grateful for what has happened to me in my life, all the experiences I've had and all the success and just the freedom I've had to do whatever I wanted, and most of the time it worked out good in a successful way. It's hard to be stressed and it's hard to be pissed off about anything. And my wife and kids are the greatest because when they see me getting mad about something, and I start saying, that pisses me off, and they just go, stop it. You have nothing to be mad about. And I'm thinking, you know what, they're right. So, that it really helps to, as you get older, to really appreciate, any of the gifts that you've been given. So, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit soft in my old age with that stuff. Like I said, the song Father Time, when I wrote that, I had turned 70, and after my birthday bash, which you've been to in Cabo, which we just had one this year, Car and I went straight to Hawaii to our house there because we were about to sell it. I was thinking about putting it up for sale because we didn't use it enough. And I'm sitting there by myself with the guitar, no clothes on, because we get to that property, you just drop your drawers and start, drinking coconut milk right out of the tree, off the tree, and eating bananas off the tree. So, I was all of a sudden I thought about how much time I've got left. For the first time in my life, at 70 years old, I said, wow, what if I live to be 100? That would be great, right? I'm saying that's my goal. I said, but that's only 30 years from now. And I'm thinking about, Car and I have been together 30 years, and I'm going, that seems like yesterday. And I'm going, wow. And I looked at the other side, the next part of my life, the next chapter. And I picked up a guitar and wrote that song. And it was so emotional for me to write that song because I had to really think like that long enough to finish a song. And it was almost like automatic writing. It just came out. I recorded it. I sent a little recording off my iPhone, just me with an acoustic guitar singing that song to Mellencamp, and said, what do you think? And he goes, Sam, that song sounds like it's been around a long time. Like in other words, that's a classic already, and that made me feel good. And then I never recorded it until I was, 74 last year. Recorded it for the Crazy Times record. And Cobb didn't want to make it an acoustic thing. He wanted to make it a rock and roll thing. So, let's make this a Behind Blue Eyes rather than an acoustic thing. And I said, okay. So, we did a whole kind of a rock version in the middle and everything. But I don't know, that song just kind of reminds me that, man, it's all good, man. You got it made. Enjoy the rest of your life. If I never did anything else again, I could still be happy forever, but I can't do that. You know me. I'm always got some problem.
Well, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the fact that at 75 you're still releasing records every couple of years, touring like you do, your voice is as good as it still is. It's incredible. And I mean, there's so many artists, Sammy, as you know, that are even younger than you that are like, nah, man, I'm just going to go out and play the hits. I'm not making new music. I mean, I'm not going to take the time, the effort, the money. You don't feel that way, clearly. I mean, and when you're making records this good, you shouldn't stop. But is it more, I mean, the commercial aspects of selling new music are very, very difficult, especially for classic acts, as you know. So this, I imagine making new music still for you is really more about exercising your muscle as a writer and just something creatively that you still want to do. And obviously your hardcore fans want it. But trying to get it above and beyond that for all of these bands is really difficult. But that's not what drives you, it doesn't seem like.
No, it's not what drives me. No. Thank God for my entrepreneurial success that I play music. I don't play music for business, for a living. So when I play music, it's like if I go do a show, it's because I want to go do a show. Because I say, hey, man, let's go out and play some shows. Like we'll go out and do 10 shows. We did 18 in a row, this year with the George Thorogood thing, which is kind of the biggest longest tour I've done in a while. I normally just go out and play a couple shows and come home and go out and play a couple shows every month, keep my band on payroll because Circle's my favorite band in the world, and I don't want to lose them, so I have to work enough to pay them and keep them, to be able to support themselves. So I pay them extremely well, which probably a lot more than what people would even imagine, to keep them so that I don't have to work too hard. But my point is I go tour when I want to tour. I go play when I want to play. And when I feel like I've got a record in me, I'll go make a record. And this record, I was so horny to make this record because, not being able to work or doing anything during the COVID years, it was like the bow and arrow, man. Like you just pulled that string back, and I kept pulling it farther and farther, holding it back. They wouldn't let it go. And then, when I was able to go in the studio, creativity was just pouring out of me. I've never been so prolific and so excited to get up in the morning and go in the studio. I mean, since I was in my 20s, like in Montrose, Montrose, I would have slept in the studio. So happy to be in there making a record. And I would have stayed on tour for 3 years without ever coming home. I was so excited about it. So that kind of came back to me after that break. And it was a real good year for creativity, and I'm so excited about this record just because it's so good. Like you said, it's not a business anymore. I mean, I probably lost $200,000. I financed the whole record. Hired the biggest producer in the world, David Cobb. We used his studio, probably the most expensive place to work. Right there. Brought my whole crew, band, everybody to Nashville. I didn't have a record deal. I mean, I could have a record deal if I wanted one, but I wasn't prolific enough on making that many records. So I just didn't sign a long-term deal. I signed a one every time I make a record anymore. I make a one record deal because I don't want to be pushed and tell me, no, you have to do something. So I didn't even have a record deal. I financed everything myself and then went and got a record deal. And my album came in. It was top 5 on the Billboard Top 100. It came in number 6 and then went to 5. And I think I sold 27,000 records to date. In the old days, as you know, in the 80s, if I would have sold 27,000 records the first couple of weeks like that, I would have lost my record contract.
Probably wouldn't have charted. Yeah, you wouldn't have charted.
Your record bombed, dude.
Yeah.
But it's just a different business today. So you're right. It's a labor of love, and I can support myself other ways, and it makes the music honest again. You know what I mean? It's not that it wasn't ever honest. It just, in the old days, I wanted a hit. When I wrote Your Love's Driving Me Crazy, I'll Fall in Love Again, my record company saying, we need a hit. I say, how about this? I try to be more commercial. I would try to, simplify things, not be so heavy rock, so I could get a little more airplay. And, I did that stuff. Hell yeah, I did. Like everybody else. I'd say, hey, man, write a song like that Eddie Money song. I said, okay. I listened to the song and I wrote Your Love's Driving Me Crazy. All right, went to number 11. That's kind of the way I would do it. And then I'd have half the record would be, who I was and me making my statements and playing exactly the stuff I want to play. And half of it was an attempt at having hit records. I don't do that anymore. I mean, that's been a long while. Even in Van Halen, we didn't do that, But since then, it's been a nice ride, and it's really been because of my entrepreneurial thing. So I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to tour. I tour because I want to.
Right.
How would you feel, Eddie, if you woke up and said, man, I just don't feel like doing this tonight. And you got to walk out on stage in front of 10,000 people and perform for a couple hours. Man, if you didn't want to feel like doing that would be like punching the clock. And
right.
Rock bands can't do that. Some do, but I can't.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you a couple other things on the record. So you mentioned Dave Cobb. I was telling my audience Dave Cobb's one of the most respected producers out there. And I just had Slash on this show a couple weeks ago, and he did the last Slash record. And I was talking to Slash about working with Cobb because Cobb is known for doing things in a really old school way, and that he basically records totally live to the point that sometimes you don't even get to go in and clean up a little glitch here or there. He wants it live off the floor. What was the experience like? You've been making records for over 50 years. What was the experience like working with Dave Cobb? Because it's the first time you did it, to my knowledge, and there's some people that really like, in retrospect, the way he works, and then there's others that say, well, I don't know if I do it like that again. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's the only way I would ever do it. I couldn't see working with anybody but David Cobb. The way he got things out of me was so beautiful, seeing how he orchestrated without any pressure, without any argument. It was just so natural. He just would go, come on, man. Give me that, be Montrose, be in Montrose again, just for 5 minutes. The song's 4 minutes and 59 seconds long. For 5 minutes, go back and give it everything you got. That's all he would say, things like that. And you're sitting there going, wow, my pleasure. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. And then you would sing, we would take, the whole band was playing, and I sing live on everything but about 3 tracks. 3 tracks I had to go and do the vocals. Number 1, because I didn't have lyrics yet, because we wrote songs in the studio for 2 of the songs, and the third one was Pump It Up, the Elvis Costello song, because I didn't know the lyrics, so I had to download them, and we were just jamming it, and I was making stuff up, just yelling crap, and then I realized, oh, Cobb's going, this is really good. We should put it on the album. And I'm going, you got to be kidding. I thought we were just warming up. And he goes, no, listen. And I heard it, and I said, okay. And so I went in to do the vocals on that. But other than that, I sang live. And he would take 15, 20, 30 takes of the band. We'd play for 3 hours the same song over and over. Sometimes he'd say, oh, let's just do the bridge. We need a better bridge. That bridge wasn't good enough. And he would just say, okay, take 1, take the bridge from take 3, boom, put it together and go, you got a track. And I'd listen to the vocals, and he'd go, huh? I'd say, I can't sing any better than that. Singing with the band, any singer will tell you, when you're out there in the middle of a room and the band's already done their trip and they're gone, and you're sitting there with a bunch of people in the studio gawking at you and doing your vocal takes, that's hard to sing that way. I've always sing live with Van Halen, with Montrose, with Chickenfoot. But when I did my solo records, I usually didn't sing live because I did all the guitars myself. I didn't play guitar on this record, not one note. I played the songs to Dave, showed him my parts, and he played my parts, so I could just sing and concentrate. Because he was saying, I want to hear that. I want to hear that voice of yours. I want you to push everything in there. I want you to be thinking about the chord changes. Just sing. And man. And he said, I want the definitive Sammy Hagar record. I want to hear Montrose. I want to hear Van Halen. And I want to hear Standing Hampton. I want to hear, the VOA stuff, the way your voice sounded in that. He goes, I want you to sing that way. So one of the songs called Slow Drain, the opening kind of full track, it's number 2, but there's a little short thing in the beginning. Slow Drain we wrote in the studio. It's the last song we wrote. So I had to write some lyrics, and I came back the next day to sing it. He made me sing it until my voice was gone. I blew my voice out. I never blow my voice out if I'm not sick. If I'm sick, I blow my voice out. But anyway, I was healthy as can be. I was in shape because I've been singing for a couple of weeks. And he said, give me just one more. I said, Dave, I ain't got no more, man. I said, he's going, no. Come on, you got it. We got it. He said, this is great. I can put together the greatest vocal you've ever done right here. He goes, just give me one more. Just go for it. Don't even think about it. Like, go off key. I don't want you to ever be able to sing again, kind of thing. And I went in and did it. And it ended up being the last take, the one that he pushed me to do. If you listen to the vocal on that song, I'm screaming that one line in it, because I couldn't sing the line, so I had to scream it. And it's my favorite vocal. Well, my second favorite vocal on the album. My Father Time, without a doubt, all the way around is my favorite song, my favorite vocal on the record. But Slow Drain's a motherfucker, man.
Well, yeah, that's essentially the opening track on the record. But there's one other song, because I don't know how much time you have, but Hannah told me you only had a certain amount. So you just tell me if you got to go. But there's one other song on the record. You mentioned Father Time and how personal that is to you, but there's a song on this record that really, really connected with me that I really thought was amazing. And that's a song called Be Still. I think that song's unbelievable, and that song really connected with me on some level in listening to it. I really, I thought it was brilliant. Tell me about that song.
I'm so glad you like that song, because to me that's the sleeper track. The Be Still and Father Time are the same kind of songs. They could be country, they're soulful, they're Americana, and that's the kind of record I really wanted to make. This guy named Tambo, who works for Kenny Chesney, and he writes songs for a lot of country artists. He's a dear friend. I met him through Kenny, and he keeps pushing me, wants to write a song with me, and I'm going, send me some lyrics, So he sends me these lyrics, and it was Be Still. And I sat down with a guitar, and I wrote that one time through. I just sang those lyrics, reading them, because it was so from the heart. I mean, still like to write a good song, still like a little buzz, still like my music a bit too loud and still do things because I'm still my mother's son, so proud of my father's last name. Oh, come on.
Well, I'm amazed to hear this, though, because when I heard that song, knowing you, I was like, man, this is so Sammy and this is so coming from the heart. But I'm blown away right now to find out you didn't write those lyrics. That's not your.
We wrote that song together. I didn't write one word. I just chose. He had about 10 verses, and I chose the top 4 that I liked. And I got to tell you, that song almost chokes me up when I sing it. It's right up there with, Eagles Fly and, Get to Live. Just God, it's so good. And it's almost too country for rock stations, but it's a good enough song where I think it should get exposure. But I don't really know what happens in radio with my music, like you said. Other than people like you that still play real music, it's all too formatted to have a song that really crosses over and gets played on all formats and becomes a massive media hit, unless it's in a movie or something. But I love that song. I'm so glad you did that song. That it really surprises me. I thought you were going to, say something like, Crazy Times, or one of my other favorite songs is the last track is, the Childhood's End. Right. Yeah, that's my epic piece. That's my stairway to heaven on this record, But man, Be Still, it's so good. And the reason those lyrics sound like they're mine, that's why I chose them. When he sent them to me, I said, man, this is something straight from my heart. I can sing this. And great. I love it.
Sammy, outside of doing covers, like obviously you did an Elvis Costello song on here, Pump It Up, but outside of doing covers throughout all your years of making records, have you ever done a song where you didn't write the lyrics and somebody else in the band or an outside writer did? Of an original song?
No. I've never wrote the music and someone else wrote the lyrics. No. I did a Christmas song one time with a friend of mine's wife. She was a country artist, and she wanted to write a Christmas song, and she had these really cool Christmas lyrics. I don't even remember what it was, but I wrote the music for her, and I don't even know if it ever got recorded. But no, in general, I always write the lyrics. I wrote a couple songs with Jesse Harms back in the early Wabo days, where Jesse got credit for the songs because he mostly wrote the music and maybe some of the lyrics, like Both Sides Now. He wrote the chorus to that. You got to learn how to listen before you talk. You got to learn how to crawl before you walk. You got to do this, do that. That was his part, and I wrote the verses. So I have co-written lyrics a few times, but just very, very seldom. I've always been the lyricist,
Yeah. Well, listen, man, the record's incredible, and it's out now, and it's amazing that at this point in your career, you're still making music like this with The Circle. Of course, we want to give a shout out to, of course, Michael Anthony, Jason Bonham, Vic Johnson, just tremendous band that you have there. And again, everybody, the record is out now. Sammy Hagar and The Circle, Crazy Times is the name of it. Before I let you go, what's the future as far as touring is concerned? I mean, I know you're always out there doing some shows here and there, but we're already kind of winding down this year. What are you looking at, going forward?
I really don't know. I'm next year, I'm going to try to take as much of the year off as I can, and I know fans ain't going to like to hear this, but I think I need a break to reboot and figure out what I want to do, because just like what you said, this record, it surprised me that I made a record like this at this time in my life. I can tell you right now, I'm shocked myself when I listen to it and go, damn, this might be the best record I've ever made, lyrically, vocally, musically, everything about it. And I'm thinking, well, what are you going to do now? I certainly wouldn't go right back in the studio and try to top this damn thing. And to go out and tour all next year, I don't know. I have to think about that. I don't know how many more shows I got in me, to be honest. I know eventually I'm going to be going, well, man, that was hard. And I don't want to hit that. I don't want to work too hard and find out that I overdid it. I'd rather stretch out. If I have 50 more shows in me, I'd rather stretch those 50 shows out for as many years as I can, rather than try to put them in one more year. That's, if that makes sense to anybody. That's the way I have to think nowadays. You know, at my age, I'm shocked too that I can still do all this, and then I'm not feeling the pain, and then I can still walk out on stage and run around and do all this stuff, and I'm going, but something's gotta happen, you know. I gotta wake up one morning and go, what? I can't do it today, you know. I don't know. I hope not, but you know, I gotta think like that. I guys keep watching Mick, you know, my man Mick, and so as long as Mick Jagger's out there doing it, he's got a few years on me. And he's amazing. He's amazing. No one's
McCartney too.
Yeah, but McCartney, he doesn't run around. He pushes his voice, but he doesn't perform. You know, I mean, he just goes out and kills some songs. You know, but Mick, man, he's performing, dude, and I'm a performer. You know, Steven Tyler's a performer. You know, we're those kind of,
Tyler's the same age. I just saw Aerosmith twice a few weeks ago in Vegas, and he's the same age as you, and what he does is simply insane for his age as well.
I agree. I saw your Instagram post. You know, I follow you, of course, and he's him, Mick. You know, those guys. I got to look at them and go, well, I guess if they can keep doing it, well, then I'll keep doing it. You know, I can keep doing it, but something's got to go eventually. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be like John Lee Hooker. Maybe, you know, I'll be on stage when I'm 80. I hope so.
But are you wired, like, when you're done, are you just going to kind of quietly drift away and go to Cabo or whatever, and people aren't going to hear from you? Or do you envision doing a big send-off, like farewell show tour sort of deal? Like, how would you like to do it?
Eddie, I love this question. I've been waiting for this question. You are the man for asking this question. You know, I've thought about it long and hard, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to go out and tour too much next year, because it could be the last one, and I don't really know. So my thing is, I would never, I'm saying never say never. Well, right now I'm going to say I will never announce a farewell tour. Go do it, a big, long tour, and then keep going like all these other people do. It makes me sick to see that. I'd rather not say nothing, and just, when I did my last show, it's my last show, I might say it then, but I'd rather not make no pre-announcement in case I want to keep going. So I don't know. I'm so glad you asked that question, though. That's been on my mind real hard. How do you go out? Do you just go away? Yeah, I don't know. I'm too public of a figure, and I have too many businesses and things to where I can't just go away. Somebody's going to catch me somewhere, you know, and they're going to say, "What are you doing?" And so it seems like I almost have to make an announcement, but I'm not solid with that yet, and it's not time yet. But I am thinking that way. How in the hell am I going to? How am I going to do it when it's time? And I don't know. I'd rather just say one show. You know what? That's the last show. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'd rather just say that, you know. Right now, You're
not going to do the farewell tour money grab thing, though? No. Right.
The day I do something just strictly for money at this stage in my life, you can call me a greedy piece of shit. Because you know, I do not need money, and it's not why I do things. And I'm happy to. I mean, I don't blame some people for doing things for money. You have to. You know, you got to make a living, for God's sakes. But I don't have to. So at this stage in my life, no money grabs.